It's the reality of many bilingual and Latino homes where the child becomes the voice because they don't speak English.
People that don't have this situation in their homes truly don't understand the pressure and how multi-layered it is for a family, especially the children who have to translate at doctor's appointments for their parents.
When you don't see something that you want your kids to have, roll up your sleeves and do it.
That's right. And like you said, it doesn't cost money to do this. It does take your time, but what else would you be investing in if not your children? And that's the whole point.
Make the decision. Commit to it. You'll see the light at the end of the tunnel. Surround yourself with people that really support you and that empower you, and that whenever you want to quit, they say, no, keep going.
You get back in there. You can do it. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Empowered with Gina. So today's guest is a literary author and phenom, Miss Maritere R. Welcome, my friend.
Welcome, you too. I'm so excited to be here.
So we are fierce social media friends.
Yes.
And I say that because we're like, bloom, bloom, bloom,
I know.
Constantly in the messages.
I know.
And also, you are a language and culture advocate here in our community, in our country. And I am very attracted to everything you promote and your books and everything you put on your page. And so obviously there's a lot of synergy and you and I connect on things. And I thought, you know what? I need to share your story with the universe. So thank you for agreeing to come.
Oh, thank you for inviting me. I'm super excited to be here and spend a little time with you. So hanging out.
I know. A hang time. Okay, so start my podcast with 3 adjectives, please, to describe yourself.
Oh boy. Okay. Loyal, passionate, determined.
Okay. All right, Mari. So where did you grow up? Where did little Mari start getting her background?
Yes. I was born and raised in Puerto Rico.
Hey.
Yay. And I went to a parochial school where the nuns were American, were from the United States, so they did not speak any Spanish. So we had to speak English at school, and then we spoke Spanish at home. And probably by the time, just like here, by the time we're in like 4th, 5th, 6th grade, the subjects, were taught in English. Yeah. So when we graduated from high school, we're completely bilingual and bicultural, and, we can write, read, and talk in both languages. So I was fascinated with English, or that I could communicate in English as well as Spanish, and decided to go to college and study languages. So I was very lucky and privileged, and to this day, I'm very grateful to my parents. They sent me to a school in Switzerland.
Wow.
Yeah, from Little Island. And oh boy, was I homesick. But it was amazing.
And that's far.
It was an amazing experience. I met people from all over the world. It was a small school, so the language to communicate was in English, even though there were people from Turkey and Greece and Iranians and Arabs and Americans. It was just, Spanish, French. It was great.
Amazing.
Italian. I learned Portuguese a little bit. So, but I think, I was 18 years old when I realized the value of speaking in so many languages. Yes. And then I ended up babysitting for my French teacher. He had 3 kids that were speaking 3 or 4 languages, like without batting an eye. And I'm like, oh my God. And these kids were not only speaking the language, but they were being exposed to all those cultures. And I fell in love. And I said, okay, one day when I have kids, I want to at least raise them bilingual, just like I am. And then, as luck would have it, I end up here in California for a master's degree in communications. And I ended up with the master and the mister. I knew you would like that. I knew you would like that.
Tell me about this.
Oh, yeah. So my husband is Greek American. And he's a transplant too, from Toledo, Ohio.
What the?
And we've been married for 41 years. And we had 2 kids that we raised bilingual and with the 3 cultures. It was very important to us that they be exposed to the Greek, the Puerto Rican, and the American, obviously.
For sure.
So, it was at a time where no one was talking about speaking in Spanish. And I was frustrated. I didn't know how to balance the languages. I was in a, very white community who, which I love because, obviously we're still there. But I wanted to bring Spanish to the school where they were going to. And I knew that way back when the school opened, there was a Spanish curriculum in there. So I decided, just like I always tell parents, when you don't see something that you want your kids to have, roll up your sleeves and do it.
That's right.
So I found an ally in a white mom that I adored, and she had adopted 2 kids. One was Latino and the other one was Black. And we together, just the 2 of us, got a hold of all this research and all this, facts and stats and, why it was wonderful to raise bilingual children and why they needed Spanish as part of the curriculum. And we brought it to the school. But it took us 8 years. 8 years. So my daughter benefited from it, but my son was already in 8th grade and he went to high school.
Right.
Anyway, and in the midst of all that, right when I was trying to bring Spanish to school, I called my friend at La Opinión, Monica Lozano, who at the time I had done a project for them and we became really close friends. And at the time she was the editor and then she obviously became the publisher. And I said, Moni, what are we doing? There's nothing, unless you go to the pediatrician's office, there's nothing in Spanish for these parents. And there's really certainly nothing about preserving the language. And with all that background of generations that come here and, my generation, I don't know, maybe 25 years older than you, and generations before that, they come here and know Spanish because some of them were afraid that they wouldn't learn English. We still have that myth today, let me tell you.
Especially today. Now it's criminalized.
Yeah. And or the kids were hit or they were criticized or so. It was the stigma, don't speak Spanish.
Of course.
And so I was trying to change all of that. And I was trying to empower these parents and trying to share with them all the statistics and the knowledge that was out there, the education that was out there, the information that was out there. So I wrote a column for La Opinión newspaper for 12 years.
Really?
And that's how my writing career started. So I owe all of that to La Opinión. I was able to put on my communications background, my journalist background. And at the time, so this is like 1995 to, however, I'm dating myself. But there was no Google. And so I used to go to the library, find the facts or talk to the pediatrician or talk to the educators or talk to the Spanish speech language pathologists and, trying to share with the families what I was learning about balancing and preserving and why we should continue and that speaking in Spanish and English doesn't confuse the children, all those myths that were out there.
Yes.
And from then I wrote 2 books for parents, Raising Bilingual Children in Spanish and English. That was published by Simon & Schuster, and that opened a lot of doors. And I started speaking for parent groups, language conferences, etc. But it was an ebook. Okay. So quickly went back to the drawing board, and I had started a manuscript for a book about culture. And in those days, it was called Ni de aquí ni de allá. And
in English, that means
neither here nor from there. I thought that we needed a more catchy title. So by then, my son was a teenager, I think, and he's helping me get this published. I said to him one day, Nene, I just think that we need a more catchy title for this. And so we started, thinking, and then he goes, what about food? Arroz con pollo, apple pie. You're trying to show that they can coexist.
Brilliant.
So it's called Arroz con Pollo and Apple Pie, Raising Bicultural Children. I should have brought you a copy. I'll get you a copy.
That is so clever.
I know. It was really fun.
Because you're also visualizing it and then tasting it. And it's really explaining what the book is about.
Exactly.
Wow.
So, and I talked to a lot of families that were, from different cultures, that were married, that were trying to preserve, and how they did it. Because, we all learn from each other.
Of course.
And that was the purpose of, both my books are guide-like,
Right.
books that give a lot of information, and there's a lot of interviews. There's a lot, at the end of each chapter, there's questions to reflect on how am I doing in this subject or that subject.
Fantastic.
And then I was asked to write my first children's book, and it came out in 2018. Did not know anything. Nothing about children's book writing at all. So I sat down one day, I wrote this, it was published. Then from talking to parents, I came up with the second book, which is I Have a Secret, Tengo un Secreto, about a little boy that doesn't want to speak Spanish because he starts school and he comes home. And he doesn't know how to explain, I don't want to be different,
right,
to his parents. Learns a little lesson. I made the teacher the hero of the heroine of the story.
The teachers are the heroes.
Oh my gosh.
Always.
I tell you, I have such respect for teachers.
Me too.
And then right when my first book came out, Raising Bilingual Children, that was about 11 years ago. It was when Patty and Ariana started Little Libros. Oh. And so we started coinciding, and, I made an appointment, and my husband and I went and met them in person, and, we kind of started a relationship, and we kind of always knew that we would do a project together.
Sure.
So sure enough, about 3 years ago, I sent some ideas to her, and she's like, oh my God, this idea totally, punched me in the gut, because this is what I did when I was growing up. I would always be translating for loved ones. And this is what Tío Ricky doesn't speak English. Tío Ricky no habla español is about.
I see that?
Yes.
Thank you.
There's some bookmarks in there. So.
Oh, here it is. Oh, and it's such a substantial book.
I
it
know.
Feels so
they
good.
did an amazing job.
Look at this,
and
Little Libros. Yes, ladies.
The illustrations are great. And yeah, it's about a little boy, Enrique, that has to translate for Tío Ricky that is visiting from Puerto Rico. And he feels like translating over and over is a chore. And I'm trying to describe that for the reader to learn that it's not a chore, it's an act of kindness and love for the loved ones.
That's right.
But it's the reality of many bilingual and Latino homes where the child becomes the voice because they don't speak English.
And this reflects so many households, so many different generations, as you mentioned, and people that don't have this situation in their homes truly don't understand the pressure and how multi-layered it is for a family, especially the children who have to translate at doctor's appointments for their parents, getting just even a random check. A child who speaks English has to translate for their Spanish-speaking parent, or any language, but for Spanish in this case. And then, God forbid, there's some diagnosis or some, something more private. And then not only in the doctor's offices, but in schools and anything that a lot of us take for granted. And so I am so gravitated to this project you're working on in this book because it gives light and it acknowledges that what you say is, it is not an inconvenience. It is nothing to be embarrassed about. This is an act of love. And especially now, an act of resistance to lean into our Spanish, to lean into our beautiful language and culture. Now, what would you say, because, a lot of people listening to this will resonate with this book. What about the people who didn't grow up having to translate, and maybe they are Latinos or Latinas and however they identify? I feel there's also maybe a little shame that comes with that. The no sapo kids.
Well,
the kids that
I just feel
are
like,
Latino but didn't speak it.
We just have to accept that everybody's realities and everybody's families are different.
Right.
We all have a reason why my parents didn't speak English or my parents didn't speak Spanish at home. It's okay. I think that we need to be okay with that. It's like, I think about it, raising my 2 children, looking back at the way I was raised. I mean, I would never I did a lot of things different that my parents did, but I would never say to my parents, oh my God, why did you do this or that or the other? I mean, they did the best they could. Every parent always does the best they can. And we just have to believe that.
That's right.
We have to accept it. And we have to move on from there. What happens now? Look at all the education we have, the knowledge we have. Oh. So that should be enough for us. We know so much more now about the benefits and advantages of being bilingual. That should be enough for us, newer parents, to want to raise children that are bilingual.
Absolutely.
It's a gift. It's a superpower.
Yeah. And statistics, like you said, show hands down it is an advantage for any child to learn to be bilingual in any language. But again, we're in Los Angeles, we're in America. Spanish is probably the leading language next to English.
Yep.
And why not? And then back to your upbringing, being exposed to different cultures. Oh, that is just like the opening of a portal to possibilities and opportunities for children.
Yes.
If they're able to fine, maybe they can't speak very fluently a whole language, but the exposure to introduce them to something that's not what they're used to.
Exactly. Well, and, I had a conversation recently. I was, the principal of a school in West Hollywood reached out to me and wants me to come and do a presentation for the parents. And there's parents from all over, not necessarily only Latinos. And he's like, I'm not a school where the children are going to graduate from here and speak perfectly in any language. What I want is for my kids for my students to be exposed to all these cultures all these languages. So he's developed a world language program in the school. And I said, oh my God, I am so impressed that you're doing this. And I always tell parents that doesn't matter where we are today. I mean, think about your kids, the school that your kids are going to. We are all today raising multicultural children. How many cultures are in your children's classroom?
Exactly.
And so as parents, I always suggest especially now that it's so easy to communicate with the teachers, before school starts, email the teacher, learn how many cultures are going to be in that classroom that year, and come back with the plan. Try to reach out to those parents and said, why don't we help the teacher? And every month we celebrate one culture so the children can get to know what kind of food, this student is at home,
customs.
and the traditions and the customs and the foods and the flavors and the music.
Yes.
So that teaches our children that there's more out. There's all this world out there.
So much opportunity.
They're not the center of the universe.
No.
And respect, compassion, empathy.
Oh,
I mean,
tolerance.
Aren't these the values we want our children to grow up with?
Again, you're preaching to the choir.
I know.
Because I align with you, but for anyone who maybe is curious about this, and I'm thinking about the families that maybe come from more insular or more, less diverse backgrounds, they too are understanding because of social media, because of access now, the value and opportunity in exposing their children to different cultures. People from different socioeconomic backgrounds now have the opportunity to expose their children to opportunities through diversity, through learning about other customs. And that just sets their children up for success, because the kids then have that exposure that they otherwise would not have.
Well, and guess what? Then that child becomes a respectful high schooler and a respectful adult. I mean, I am convinced my children are 33 and 35. And I'm convinced that they are the people they are because of their upbringing, because they were exposed to all these cultures. Yes, my husband's Greek. I'm from Puerto Rico. But we had a group of friends that were from Argentina, Peru, Mexico. So they got to, meet all those people, learn about their customs and traditions and their food. They love their food.
I know.
Of course, Argentinian barbecues are the best.
The best.
And the Mexican food, of course. But I just think that, we have the opportunity and it doesn't cost money.
No.
All we have to do is,
this.
as a teacher, I know, it's exactly.
Especially with this.
Exactly. And at the school, the teachers, I think, would love for parents to be that engaged and to, come every month and, bring a different culture. And she can, maybe work her lesson plan around that. And, the kids would learn so much.
And like you said, it doesn't cost money to do this. It does take your time. But what else would you be investing in if not your children?
Exactly.
And that's the whole point. So, my kids, I think like you, and when my girls started school, we put them in a trilingual immersion school for Mandarin, Spanish, and English. And so it was phenomenal. And I started learning. I actually could speak a few languages because I don't know why. I just love languages. My parents were progressive in that, yes, they're from East LA. They did not grow up speaking Spanish because their parents didn't teach them because it was taboo. It was, you don't speak Spanish around here.
Yeah.
But we very much present as a typical Latino would typically present from Mexico. And so my parents, my dad particularly, was very, very intent on making sure we learned Spanish growing up and then exposing us to cultures from around the world. So growing up that way, I now do that with my kids, my daughters. Like you, I am in an interracial marriage, and it's such a privilege and an opportunity to educate not only my children beyond our cultures, but just our extended family as well. Like you could see people learning about things that just, it's always been available, but why would they ever interact with? And so, okay, so tell me about your book signing, which I will be at. Tell me about this.
Well, I have several.
Oh my gosh. Well, I know you're on a road show.
I know it's a book tour and I'm super excited about it. But I will be at Romance in Pasadena pretty soon. I was at Casita Bookstore in Long Beach last Saturday. I'm going to be this Saturday at the Untold Story in Anaheim. And from then on, I get to go to Miami and all that. So local fixture is there too, Tia Chuchas. So,
you're on the road.
Yeah,
so
I'm on the road.
People can show up and support you. I'm going to put your information in the caption. Please buy these books. Please support. And I want to conclude by asking you, you said it so easily, like, I just wrote a book. I wrote a column. You breezed over a lot of what I know was probably insecurity, toils, scared, this, that, the other. And Empowered with Gina focuses on highlighting women who push through despite the fear. Yeah. What takeaways would you give to someone who maybe wants to write a book or start a cooking class or do that thing that's terrifying to them? How did you work through How do you work through that?
This has been a real process. I think that the first thing that I would recommend is make the decision and stick to it and do it. So just to give you a little bit of context, December of 2023, we're at the dinner table, Christmas Day, and I said to my family, I really wish I had the time to write. I really think that this is what I want to do. I want to write more children's books, but I want to learn how to do it really well. And I want to have material so I can go look for a literary agent. Well, my son said, if you're serious about it, then you need to leave everything that you're doing and you need to come be with us for a while. You'll have an office, you'll have a room there, and you can concentrate in writing, but everything has to stop. So you're going to have to give up some things that you love. I play tennis. I love pickleball. I go to the gym. So the gym stayed, but I couldn't because I wasn't going to give that up. But I didn't play tennis or pickleball for about a year.
Whoa.
So I immersed myself in the writing. I took workshops, webinars, critique group partners. I wrote 13 manuscripts. I did 5 short stories. So what I'm trying to say is make the decision, commit to it, and then you'll see. And it is not fun at times. It's a lot of sacrifice, and it's a long process, especially in the writing. But guess what? I came back to LA January, and I signed with a literary agent 2 months ago, and so everything was worth it. So you'll see the light at the end of the tunnel. Surround yourself with people that really support you and that empower you, and that whenever you want to quit, they say, no, keep going.
You get back in there. You can do it.
And that's what helped me. So yeah. And I'm here. If you ever want to talk to me, I will continue. I will push you. I will help you, give you el empujoncito that you need. A little push.
And I appreciate you for just, again, being an advocate and being a true leader in culture, in diversity, in just how to be a good person. And now you're communicating this to our children, which I'm so excited about. And we will be reading this at home. And I am going to your book signing in Pasadena. And so anyone, I'm going to put Mari's information in the caption. Please, please, please purchase her books, support her, follow her. And I promise you, if you reach out to her, she will reach back out to you. She is communicative, welcoming, and just so kind. So, amiga, thank you. Muchas gracias.
Gracias a ti. Thank you so much.
And I will welcome you back when you have your next book or project. And I'd love to catch up then.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.